Crabtree. I'm the president of the Gulf Coast Association of Reptile Keepers. Part of what we do, we aspects of keeping them in captivity. We also like to, try to promote awareness of our wild and native species that we have here in southwest Alabama. As far as identifying them in the wild, we have a pretty good variety of different reptiles and amphibians here in Mobile, Baldwin County, and so there's a lot of different stuff that you can find, especially right here on South's campus as well. And I also want to talk a little bit later about the different color mutations that a lot of different captive animals have, that you can selectively breed them, and the genetic mutations and that sort of thing. And toward the end, we'll probably speak about some of the recent legislations and stuff like that that affects the reptile hobby and reptile industry in general. So to get started, we'll let Jennifer and Alex kind of get things going as far as we'll let Alex go first and talk a little bit about how red-bellied turtles, his work, and what he does. Turn it over.
Appreciate y'all letting me come and speak to y'all. As Michael said, I'm Alex. I'm a graduate student here at South in biology. My main focus is conservation and ecology of reptiles and amphibians. My particular work is on the Alabama red-bellied turtle. I'm currently involved in 2 studies right now. I'm going to tell you about this one that's been going on for roughly 12 years now in Mobile Causeway. Itself is below a meter in elevation, so this contributes to habitat fragmentation and is causing these animals to cross the road, which is a very busy road, and they're getting hit. So this is a very old picture. My apologies for being a very old slideshow. It doesn't look like this anymore. Battleship Park, and it extends all the way over to Spanish Fort. Now this is what we're used to seeing, unfortunately. This is a female red-bellied turtle. And it came out to lay her eggs, and unfortunately got hit crossing the road. Now, when he started doing this, he started to realize that there were more and more of these turtles getting hit. And with these guys only living in this particular area in the world, it's important that we conserve this. So he started taking note, and he ended up presenting how many of these guys were getting hit to Fish and Wildlife and Department of Transportation. So he started off doing it by vehicle, driving the roads and seeing the females getting hit and logging whatever he saw. But the main ones that were getting hit are the hatchlings. So you can't see these guys from a vehicle. They're very, very small, about $1/2 in size whenever they hatch. And unfortunately, these guys can't sexually reproduce until they're about 15 to 20 years old. So conserving the hatchlings and the females is a big, big point. These guys have to make it out in the wild for 15 to 20 years before they can actually reproduce. They have to escape alligators, birds, bigger fish, especially when they're, whenever they're a hatchling. So this little blip right here is a hatchling. You couldn't see these through the vehicle, and when him and his wife were bicycling the causeway, and he logged some 100 of these little hatchlings getting hit. This is just a picture along the causeway. This was the island going over the Appalachian River. These are all this pictures he took a long time ago. This is actually a nest that he found. Was very inconspicuous, very small hole. You would never know it was there, but it's laid right beside the road. So these turtles come out. They have to make their way to water. Sometimes they don't know which way water is, so they end up crossing the road, and nearly every single one in the clutch gets killed. This is just some of the stuff that we commonly find on the causeway. Alligators, all these are red-bellied turtles. Many species of snakes, frogs, lizards are all found on the causeway, hit a lot. And granted, the primary conservation concern was for the red-bellied turtle, but we're seeing a lot of other things get hit too that we normally don't get to see anymore. Such as the alligator, granted, they're still common, but we do get some big ones that are hit every year. This is a rare occurrence. For those of you who know what this is a mud snake. We do not see these on the causeway anymore. I've been doing this study now for 3 years, and I have never seen one. And I think the last record we have was in 2007. Once again, this is just showing how small these guys are. This is a 6-inch ruler, so you can only imagine how small these guys are. All of these are red-bellied turtles, except for this small guy. This is a hatchling mud turtle. You get a lot of those killed as well. This is a funny slide you tend to throw in. We also see dinosaurs, rubber snakes, and blue frogs as well. Okay, to the stats. This, through 2001 and 2004, he logged every reptile, amphibian, bird, and mammal. This is the killer number. In 4 years, almost 3,000 individuals hit, verified killed on the causeway, with the reptiles and birds making up most of it. So this is what we're kind of talking about today. So 926 individuals hit in 4 years. After 2004, they stopped taking down birds and mammals, and just starting back this year, we started to do the mammals again. So all the data I give you from now on will only be the reptiles and amphibians. So this is a table of all the snakes that are hit, totaling 341 in the 4-year period. Now, Mississippi green, water snake, and cottonmouth, and ribbon snake are by far the most abundant. But then you get down here, the stuff like the diamondback water snake, which is very rarely seen anymore, the yellow-bellied water snake, and rainbow snakes as well. We have not seen a rainbow snake since probably 2003 or 4. This is a slide of all the turtles that were hit. The red indicates that hatchlings were present. Again, big number, 344 individuals of Alabama red-bellied turtles and endangered species are getting hit. So, what do we do about it? He presented this data, like I said, to the Department of Transportation and Fish and Wildlife, and got them to build a low-barrier fence. If any of y'all have been along the causeway, y'all have seen it. If you haven't, I'll show you pictures of it. This is Alabama red-bellied turtles killed on the Mobile Causeway. This goes all the way to 2009. This marks the barrier of when the fence was built to keep these guys off the road. So you can see everything is in very large number until here. So we do know that the fence is working. This is the females. So the only reason these turtles ever come out onto land is to lay their eggs or when they're hatched. Males normally do not ever return to land. They just come up on land to bask on logs and whatnot. But May through July is the peak nesting season of these guys. So, of course, and during these months is when we see the absolute most. These are sexually able to reproduce females. They're very old. Some of them can be 30, 35 years old. The hatchlings are laid May through July normally. What a lot of these guys actually do, it doesn't take 9 months to develop inside the egg. However, what we have seen is that they overwinter. Their metabolism absolutely shuts down until the new year comes around and spring hits in March, and then we get this huge spike of hatchlings that they get hit on the road. So this is basically just a map showing the highest rate of mortality. So right over here is Spanish Fort, the Blakely River, Appalachia River, and right along Chocolate Bay. This is where they get hit the most. We do get them on the Mobile side occasionally, but not very much. This was a temporary fence that was built for these turtles, and that stayed up for about a year until the Department of Transportation gave us a nice chain link fence that is still there. This is Big Island. This is what the new fence looks like, and it is still there. There's a lot of vegetation around. You really can't see it anymore, but it is there. This is just showing you more pictures of the fence. All this stuff is grown over now, but it does seem to be keeping the turtles away. So before the fence, 2007, and after the fence. The red indicates the Alabama red-bellied turtle, huge number. Still, after the fence is still the most frequent turtle hit. However, we do know that the fence is doing its job, and we have reduced mortality by about 75%. This shows where we have different species that are hit along the causeway, but to sum this up, so the red-bellied turtle is really the most frequent reptile we see get hit, and then being endangered is what the big problem is. So before the fence and after the fence, we've knocked it down. 75% of mortality. The adult females represent 22% of all individuals hit. The hatchlings, what we worry about the most, represent 75%. The males and juveniles are very rarely ever encountered on the causeway, and they account for less than 1% of all of them seen. So what we do now, this still goes on. Every week I bicycle the causeway and I log whatever I see. And now for the past few years, in congruence with Five Rivers, they see hatchlings come out, they give them to us, they keep some there, and we rear these guys for a year to give them a head start. It's a head start program. So we raised them for a year, and I brought a few from the Perth lab there here. But if we give them a year to grow, they get about this big, and so therefore they don't have as many risks as far as predation goes, and they have a much better chance of survival. Does anyone have any questions for me? Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to point out, I think John mentioned it already tonight, but I just wanted to state that it's kind of cool that the alligator red turtle is endemic, just right here in Mobile,
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
And for that fact, I think it's our state reptile.
Yes. Yeah. It is our state
It's
reptile.
kind of a point of pride and obviously very important.
Without this fence, we may not have a state reptile in the near future with as many as we're getting hit. Sometimes on one bicycle ride, they would get like 75 hatchlings hit. So this is really important, and it has done its job. So I'm glad to report that. Yes.
Is the fence regularly checked and maintained?
Department of Transportation can be slow at times, especially right around the big island area. A lot of fishermen go down there who don't care about the fence, and they tend to run it over with their cars. And there have been quite a few times where we've had holes get it in the fence and whatnot, and we call them and say, hey, we go fix this, and it only takes a good month for someone to actually get out there, but it has held up rather well. The stakes in the ground are buried pretty deep, but then the other people that get out there as far as land maintenance, with big backhoes and whatnot, they've torn it up a few times, but getting it fixed is kind of a problem. That fence cost a little over $2 million to build. You can only imagine, and yeah, sometimes they're a little slow, but for the most part, it stays up rather well.